Congressman, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me in the studio, Tucker.
It's a little weird to call a guy extremist before you know who he is.
Well, it is in practice with Donald Trump's extremist views, whether it's on women, whether it's on Muslims, whether it's on voting rights. And so what Americans want to know right now is this nominee going to show more respect for women, more respect for Muslims, and more respect for voting rights than the president nominated him?
So, I mean, but it sounds like you think you know the answer already.
No, I think this nominee deserves the hearing that Justice Garland never got.
Right? Well, I think that's fair, but you were saying, and I don't think it's a crazy point, but weren't you just saying the other day that you need to resist before you know anything about the guy, his background, any decision that he has written, anything about him? Just the generic guy should be resist.
We need to resist President Trump's extreme views. And so right now we need to know whether Justice Gorsuch, whether he believes that the government belongs in a women's doctor's office when she's making a decision about her health care, whether the government belongs at a patient's bedside who's terminally ill. He has written a lot about opposing the right to die for terminally ill patients. And people want to know.
Well, he actually hasn't ruled on any abortion cases, but he did write in a book of ethics this, and I just want to know if you agree with this or not, and I'm quoting him directly. All human beings are intrinsically valuable, and the intentional taking of human life by private persons is always wrong. Do you believe that?
All human beings are intrinsically valuable. However, Roe v. Wade says that a woman has a right to make a decision about her own health care.
Okay, but I'm not asking about Roe v. Wade. I'm asking you to assess what he has said here, not about Roe v. Wade, but just a general statement. All human beings are intrinsically valuable. You agree with that. The second part is the intentional taking of human life by private persons is always wrong. Do you agree with that or not? Two of the most personal decisions a person can make is a woman with her doctor about her own body, and a person who's terminally ill about whether they want to die in peace. And he has chosen that the government should intervene. Are you going to answer my question? The intentional taking of human life by private persons is always wrong. Now, if you can't agree on that,
the Constitution says that a woman has a right to make her own health care decision. What do you think?
No, I'm not talking about women's rights. I mean, intentional taking of human life by private persons is always wrong. That's what he said, and I just want to know if you agree with that statement or not.
What he has shown in his legal career.
Are you really afraid? Are you really afraid to say the intentional taking of life is wrong?
No, of course not. I was a prosecutor. I prosecuted people for intentionally taking life.
But you won't agree with this because you're afraid of the abortion lobby and like, ooh, you're anti-abortion if you're against the intentional taking of human life. I mean, come on.
I believe a woman has a right to make her own decision about her own health care.
Do you think it is the taking of a human life, abortion?
I think that right now, at viability, before viability, a woman should be able to make her own decision. After viability, in the case of her own psychological health, in the case of rape or incest, she should also be able to make that decision. Okay, but is it the taking of human life? That is a woman's personal decision.
Okay, well, what do you think? Do you think it's I'm not asking about the decision. I mean, is it human life or not? What do you think?
She is terminating something that she does not want, and that's her own choice.
Okay, but do you think it's human life?
I think at viability, a baby, should be decided by the woman. She's the one who has to have it.
But you brought it up. That's why I'm pressing you. But do you think before viability it's a human life or something else?
I think it's not viable yet, Tucker.
But is it human life?
Courts have decided.
You're not going to answer my question now or ever, I suspect. But you should, because it's a basic question, I think. Okay, so here's what you wrote. I hate to do this gotcha. You wrote this, but now you say this. But it's kind of interesting. My job. March 16th, you wrote this, and I'm quoting, with national security issues before...
March 16th, 2016?
2016, yeah. Wow. We do some research on this show. Right. With serious national security issues before the president, nothing would comfort our enemies more than to not confirm the Supreme Court nominee. Hashtag do your job.
Yeah, Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
He was a mainstream nominee.
Right.
He should have gotten at least a hearing, right? Don't you think?
I actually kind of think so, yeah. I mean, I'm for hearings. I think you should assess people in the merits. I kind of do think that,
and this judge should get a hearing, too.
Yeah, but do you think that it would comfort our enemies if the Senate doesn't seat this judge and we have an opening on the court?
If the Senate does not give this judge a hearing, yes, I think that, too, would comfort our enemies. Now,
No, but that's not what you, hold on, that's not what you wrote. You didn't say give him a hearing. You said nothing would comfort our enemies more than to not confirm him. And do you feel that way about this guy, or is it just totally situational? It's only Democrats.
A mainstream judge, and the jury is still out.
No, you didn't say mainstream judge. I mean, do you think that? What do you think our enemies? What do you think our
enemies?
Give me
160.
Good line. But what do you think our enemies think of this? I mean, if Democrats go out and say no, under no circumstances, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but I'm against him.
I think Americans think that this president has the thinnest margin, one that's thinner than his skin, than any president in recent history. He lost the popular vote by 3 million votes. So he should at least get 68 votes in the Senate. President Obama had 60 more electoral votes in his first term, won the popular vote, and his first nominee, she got 68 votes in the Senate. That's a good
but I mean,
standard.
I get what you're saying. It makes a kind of sense, but if you think about it, it doesn't. It kind of falls apart. I mean, President Clinton never got to 50% of the popular vote. The majority of the country didn't vote for him.
But he won it.
Well, Trump won it. Okay.
No, he didn't win the popular vote.
No, but he won the election. And actually, the election's not based, as you know, since you're an office holder, on the popular vote. It's electoral vote.
Sure.
But the point is, if it's a moral question, Clinton never got to 50%, and there were people who said, oh, he's not legitimate, but I always thought that's so stupid. He won the election, so why doesn't the same standard apply to Trump? Because you don't like Trump, I guess, right?
I think it's about mandates. I think, if you,
So you don't have a
overwhelmingly
mandate,
won the popular vote, if you overwhelmingly won the Electoral College, as President Obama did, he still put a consensus candidate forward who got 68 votes.
So there are degrees of victory? I don't remember this in the manual. Is this in the Constitution? Like, you're president, but you're really president if you win more? Like, what's the standard?
I think our country right now could use a consensus candidate. He deserves that hearing, and we need to answer these questions about what he feels about women, what he feels about patients, how he feels about voting rights.
Do you really think? I mean, can we just be real? I know we're on TV, but if someone is opposed to abortion, if someone believes it's the taking of human life,
that's their personal
view. A lot
view.
of people do.
Yeah.
If you think it's actually killing somebody, you're not going to be for it being legal. You're just not. It doesn't make any sense, okay, rationally. But that doesn't mean you're against women. A lot of women feel that way. I know a lot of women who don't think abortion should be legal because they think it's murder. Are they against women? Like, let's be real.
It's a personal view. A lot of people at my church at home in Livermore, California, they hold an opposing view to me.
Are they against women?
He's a judge. He's a judge, and if he can't follow the law and he wants to overturn a law that says a woman can make her own health care decisions, that's a problem. He's going to have to answer.
What do you mean? You're for overturning all kinds of laws. What about Citizens United? You're for overturning that.
Through the constitutional process.
Okay, but what if this judge, through the constitutional process, was for overturning Roe v. Wade? All of a sudden he's some kind of moral criminal?
Well, he's supposed to be not an activist judge, but someone that follows the law, and I hope he does.
Well, but if he was for overturning Citizens United, he wouldn't be an activist judge. He'd be for the people, right? Let's set a standard and stick to it. How's that?
He can hold his own personal opinions, but he has to carry out the precedent that has already been set, and that says a woman rights to choose should not.
But I'm just trying to be consistent here, just for fun.
Yeah.
So you think it's wrong to try to overturn Roe v. Wade, but it's totally okay to try to overturn Citizens United. Why is that?
If you go through the constitutional process.
Okay, but on both sides, if you go through the constitutional process, it's fine. So it's okay to overturn Roe v. Wade if you go through the constitutional process.
They can try and they will fail because the majority of women in this country and the majority of people in this country don't believe in that. Okay. They can undertake that exercise.
I'm trying.
I don't think it'll go anywhere.
I'm trying so hard. I'm not even a lawyer. No. That's funny. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
The so-called nuclear option, the filibuster, and I think most people agree it's good to have some
unfortunate name.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate name. So let's drop it. The filibuster is there for a reason, and it's to try to convince more than just your party to get on board with the big decision, like confirming a Supreme Court justice. So Democrats, when they say even before anyone's been nominated, we're against this and we're going to fight it no matter what they're really saying to the Republicans is, we dare you to get rid of the filibuster. Do you really want to go there? I mean, is it worth it?
I'm not going to speak for the senators.
But what do you think?
I think he deserves a hearing. And if he cannot receive at least 68 votes, or heck, say 2/3, the Democrats should probably block him.
Huh. But, I mean, you know what's going to happen when people behave in an unreasonable way, and you say the Republicans were unreasonable at Merrick Garland, and, okay, fine, I think that's, maybe they were. But continuing to be unreasonable and saying, we think your nominee is an extremist or hates women or hates Muslims, even before we know his name, isn't that kind of accelerating the cycle of stupidity and extremism that's really hurting us?
I will give this nominee a chance. I want to learn more.
But you attacked him before you even knew who he was.
I attacked President Trump, who has exercised nothing but extremism.
You said we got to
resist
resist this guy.
No, we have to resist President Trump's extreme agenda. And if this individual wants to interfere with a woman's rights to choose and overturn Roe v. Wade, then that should be resisted.
Is it a law on the Democratic side that you have to kind of stick to the talking points this closely? Why don't you say abortion? I mean, what's wrong with that? It's about abortion. It's not about choice or a woman's right. It's about this procedure, and some people think it's immoral, and some people don't. So why don't you just call it that?
I would ask a woman. I don't think she views it as harshly as you do. I think it's something very personal.
A lot of women do. I saw the March for Life walk right past our building. It was tons of women, maybe mostly women.
But it's a personal decision, and the law.
I know, but let's just call it.
Settled.
Shouldn't we just call it what it is?
We should call it the rule of law.
Okay. Okay. You said the other day that President Trump's ban, a temporary ban, 180-day ban for visa holders from 7 countries coming here was, quote, immoral. Why was that immoral?
Refugees have helped our country as much as our country has helped refugees. And
really?
We should call it a Muslim
Tell me
ban.
Specifically how.
Sure. My chief of staff is a refugee, came over here from Vietnam on a raft and started as an intern, first in his family to go to college.
Oh, one of the refugees that your governor, Jerry Brown, tried to keep out of California in 1976?
I was there.
I
wasn't alive in 1976.
I watched it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But look, here's the point. The United States has a right to determine who comes here,
Sure.
right? Okay. So it would be fair, and it's certainly within the context of American history, for a president to say, you know, we have reasons for not wanting a lot of people to come to this country now. That's not an immoral thing to say, is it?
But it's a religious test, because the only exceptions are for religious minorities. And of those 7 countries, there's no religious minority that's not.
Well, if it was a religious test, it wouldn't. See, I don't really understand a lot of arguments that I'm hearing in the political sphere recently, but one of the most confusing is, this is outrageous because he didn't include Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan. Okay. And the other side, it's a Muslim ban. So the biggest Arab country is Egypt. Saudi Arabia has an awful lot of Muslims in it. In fact, it's the seat of Islam. If he doesn't ban people from those countries, how could it be a Muslim ban?
Well, the refugees are coming from the 7 countries that.
Well, sure, but he didn't ban anybody from Saudi Arabia, which is the central country in Islam.
Yeah, I'll focus on who he banned, and there's no Muslims who are minorities, so they would never be allowed to come over under the one exception that he carved out. So that is only benefiting people who are not Muslims. It's a ban of Muslims, and he can.
Well, it's not a ban of Muslims because Saudis can still come and Malaysians can still come.
The Muslims in those 7 countries.
The Muslim, but wouldn't a cleaner, more accurate way to say it be the residents, the citizens of those countries? It's not a Muslim ban because he's not banning people based on the fact they're Muslim. They're banning them based on their country of origin.
And I'll just say, Tucker, we're less safe because of it.
Wait, but hold on. I just want to address your demagoguery really quick. Hold on. You're calling it a Muslim ban. I just want you to concede that's not really a fair thing to say.
No, it's a Muslim ban. But we're less safe because
But we're not banning all Muslims.
So many of our allies have taken on refugees. We need them to fight terrorism. And if they don't see us as a team player, they're not going to cooperate.
Now, I know we don't
and this inspires the enemy, by the way. This feeds the
They're really
myth.
going to hate us now.
This feeds the myth. And they'll be able to use this to recruit that Americans hate Muslims. And we don't.
Yeah. I bet ISIS is going to be mad. They may want to start suicide bombing after this. So let me ask you this, though. How do you think, you mentioned other countries are allies taking in refugees. How do you think the refugees taken into Germany have affected Germany? Been a good thing for Germany?
Look, we have intense vetting here. What has happened in Germany
but I just want to know what. Okay.
They should follow the vetting that we do.
What about France?
Well, let's talk about Jordan. Jordan has been a relatively safe place. They've taken over 1 million refugees. I'm meeting with the king tomorrow.
Jordan's about to explode because of the refugees it's taken.
Jordan is actually
for 50 years.
It's on an upward glide path, Tucker. Its refugees are overwhelming them.
Are you really arguing that Jordan's better because of its refugees?
No, I'm arguing that Jordan's better because of its king's leadership, but he depends on the United States
under control
to be a faithful partner in that.
Yeah, well, and we should help Jordan. I agree. Yeah. Absolutely, it's important.
But if we're saying no refugees, just go to Jordan, why would the Jordanian king
but
want
I'm
to
asking you a more relevant question, which is Jordan has been destabilized by refugees. They've been a disaster for Jordan. Ask the king.
And if no one else helps with refugees,
they've been a disaster for Germany. They've been a disaster for France. They've been a disaster for Holland. They've been a disaster for Scandinavia, specifically Sweden. So if it's been a disaster for all these other countries, why do we want that?
Because we all have a part to play. Because if they
don't take our lumps, because why?
No, we should vet them. They should go through screening.
But why? If it hasn't worked for anybody else, why would we want to do it?
I think our vetting so far has been pretty good.
But why would we want you? If I watch you burn your hand, you know, like, I have good medical care. I'm like, yeah, you may have good medical care, but I don't want to burn my hand. I'm not going to put my hand on the stove.
I think screen refugees, we should open up our country to them just as others have. Because if we don't, it's a very selfish thing, and it alienates us from the people and the countries that we need to fight terrorism.
But those countries...
It's short-sighted.
Short-sighted. For 50 years, they've taken in refugees in those countries, and it's hurt those countries. So why would we want a piece of that? Why would that... You really look at Germany and like, you know what? I want to do that. Sweden, that's a great job, Sweden. I want a little bit of that here. Do you really think that?
Yeah. Again, I would argue our screening process is the tightest of anyone that I've looked at. I think we could take more as long as we're screening them correctly, and it will help our allies in this fight. Right now, they're looking at us and saying, the United States, they're not really in it for anyone but themselves, and that is going to make us less safe.
Man, I just want to make sure they respect us. Congressman, great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me on.
As we said yesterday, President Trump fired Acting Attorney General Sally Yates for refusing to defend his immigration